Good morning. Good morning. We'll see. We'll see who joins me this morning. I know it's kind of a random thing. We had discussed it, but weren't sure for sure. For sure, for sure. But here we are. Hello. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Hump day. I'm kind of hanging out. I almost missed going live right at 9. Not that it really matters a whole lot, but still, because I was talking to one of my buddies via text messaging. It's just wonderful. Hope everybody's doing okay on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Craziness. I have the news on the TV back there, so seeing all the craziness that's going on. It's so depressing sometimes. Oh no. Well, we'll talk about that later. Once we get a few more people straggling in here, I got my coffee. Mmm, good stuff. I have McCafe Colombian coffee, and it's oof. Make sure. Hopefully you can hear me okay. The little microphone indicator thingy is not moving, so I'm not positive. Let's see. This glare on my glasses is coming from the TV, right? I don't even have a remote. That's okay. I'll go get it. I'll be right back. Dun dun dun! Glare gone, right? Now it's just the glare from the computer screen. So, 9:03 on a Wednesday morning. I just did my last video the other day. What day was it? Monday? Monday. Yes, it was Monday. After streaming, I got back in here and I messed around and finished editing and narrating the video, and then I put it out and published it. And the topic is about my favorite or my best Carradina tank setup. Now, this is not the only setup I have in there, but it's the main focus of what I'm doing right now. So, yeah, Carradina tank setups. Why is that such a big deal? Well, as you know, if you've been watching the channel, I've done a lot of moving, a lot of setups, a lot of teardowns, um, moved locations, like basically moving all of my stuff from the house to the shop so we could ship and deliver, and then also moving stuff. Every week I'd take all of the fish home and quarantine them for a little while. When we were doing quarantine, I quarantined them at my house because we had the extra tank space, and then I'd take them back to the shop so that we could ship them. With all of that being said, I've done a lot of teardowns, a lot of setups. I've spent a lot of money doing so. And that's kind of what's evolved into the process that I'm using now. And it's somewhat out of the box. It's non traditional, I guess is the best way to say it. It's a non traditional approach to the way I'm doing it. But it's also just a fusion of everything that I've watched and learned over the years, especially lately with YouTube and actually doing fish tours and getting to see people's aquariums and their setups and different fish stores, and just different methods and ways to use the technology, whether it's hang on back filters, canister filters, sponge filters, the lighting, LED, Halides lighting, all that fun stuff. Anyway, because of that and changing tanks over constantly and losing livestock, whether it's fish, plants, or shrimp, there's some plants you just barely touch them, move them, and what looked nice and healthy just dies because it's stressed out. Um, Same thing goes with the fish and the shrimps. But this seems to me that I kind of just, I need other people to do it with me because it's, I don't know if it's just me. Am I just getting lucky? But it seems like the potential for stress in the shrimp or the fish, whatever I'm moving around, has been greatly reduced because I don't have this thick layer of substrate, whichever style it is, inert, active, or not. But I don't have this big pile of substrate at the bottom of the tank that's a whole inner world in itself. And I think that's where a lot of problems in our tanks come from, is just that mulm, detritus, bacteria. Sometimes it may be getting overwhelmed and doesn't marinate properly. To borrow one of Corey's terms, it doesn't marinate properly. So yeah, this setup, no substrate or very little substrate, it kind of removes that being a variable in my aquarium. Hello, fishy things. And that was kind of my logic behind it, is that if you take out the substrate, then that's a variable that you don't have to worry about. Because what I've learned with no substrate, or even just a half and half where I put a thin layer, in one of the tanks I did it, and on the video about removing the poop, shrimp poop, um, it's a good example of what I've seen with my own eyes. Is when you set up a tank that way and it gets bacterialized and the bacteria starts colonizing, it'll form, I guess it's staph. It's some form of, what do they call it? Staphylococcus. You got your bean water. Awesome. But it's like some kind of staph, bacteria, staphylococcus, whatever they want to call it, scientific gobbledygook. I don't get into that. I could, but I don't. But anyways, it looks like little worms. And it's not poops because it actually forms on the surfaces. I've seen it form on the glass surface. I've seen it form on the cholla wood, and somewhat. It's never on the side. It's always on the bottom glass. So it made me think, what happens in our aquarium when we don't see that bacteria colonizing like that right in front of your face? And so what I've noticed is that that will sometimes happen. You'll get that bacterial growth on the front of the glass, but then the shrimp come and they just clean it up. If you can get it to a point to where it's not so much bacteria that they can't keep up with it, like what I did in that video, I sucked up all of that bacteria, and then 2 days later it was clean. The surface was clean. No more of those little staph bacteria colonies that I could see. The shrimp came, they ate it up, and they cleaned up the tank. So it gives me an idea of what's going on in my tank because I can see it right there. The substrate isn't hiding it. And I think that's something that it's a variable that I just don't want to play with anymore. And it's kind of, that's how I simplified what I do, is just get rid of the variables. So that way there's very few things that I have to focus on. Water. If I use RODI water, then all I got to do is add minerals to get it to where I want to. If I'm doing caridina and soft water fish, then it's just GH plus. If I'm doing neocaridina and guppies and cichlids, then it's KH and GH plus. And then maybe a coral, one of those wonder shells, or some coral substrate, or a little bag of corals or something. But that makes it to where, okay, that's taken care of. The water, I don't have to worry about, you know, dechlorinizing the water because it's RODI water. Got good water. Now all I need is a good aquarium, some decent lighting, because lighting doesn't matter because I'm not trying to grow these lush underwater aquascapes in most of my tanks. I'm just trying to breed out shrimp or fish or whatever. I do like the greenery. Trust me, I'm a big nerd that way. So yeah, I like to have plants in there, but it's kind of waning is for at least for what I'm using the tanks for. If I have the clown killifish in there, then I want something. I want stuff on the top floating for the fry. I want stuff in the middle, you know, some maybe some stem plants, and I also want a nice nest of moss for them to breed in. So, you know, it really depends on what I'm using the tank for, but the variables are very few. If I'm using the box filters, that's my filtration and my water buffering if needed, or, you know, just putting sponges in it instead of substrate for regular water. Um, where are my variables? Where are the things that can flip my tank cycle upside down? There isn't very many. It has to be something drastic that I do, like a water change, um, or spill something or contaminate it somehow. And without those variables, then it's pretty simple. At least that's my thinking. And that's where everybody else, you know, help me out. What do you think? What have you learned? Maybe you do your tanks differently and you have a whole different approach. And there's nothing wrong with that because I used to have a whole different approach. But it was because of what I was doing. For what I'm doing now, for 80% of that fish room, it's just because I'm trying to reproduce, I'm trying to stabilize, I'm wanting them to breed and flourish and thrive, and I'm not really worried about the decorative aspect of it. That makes sense? That makes sense. See, I have a feeling most everybody, if they're watching streams, you're going to watch Rob versus watching this. I mean, why not? That's what I used to do on Wednesday mornings at 9 o'clock. Watch Rob. And I'd have my coffee with Flip. Oh, you don't want to know what I think. I have what the medical community refers to as the stupid. Oh, man. Well, that's what makes it fun, though. Because honestly, I've heard slight comments about the way I do things as um, not sticking to traditional methods, or maybe, I don't know. And I get it somewhat because I am not. It's not that I'm trying to buck the system, if that makes any sense. What I'm trying to do is understand the whys. I've said this. If you've been watching, if you go back and watch some of the old streams, some of my videos, a lot of the focus about what I do is I want to understand the why. Why does this work? Why doesn't this work? Why do I need to do it this way? Why should I do it that way? And so somebody could tell me this, don't do this. And I'll go, why not? Why is that bad? I want to know why is that bad? And then I'll try it and I'll go, oh, okay, well now I know after doing for myself, not just being a little sheeple, you know. I do for myself and then I go, oh, okay. But what I discover is what else can I learn from discovering the why or why not? And that's what leads me down a rabbit hole of whatever it may be. So yeah, I'm a little bit crazy that way. I've tried to follow a certain set of rules and standards, but they don't always work out. And that's kind of the fun part about this hobby, is that your water conditions may be totally different. Your barometric pressures may be totally, completely different. The altitudes you live in, the kinds of fish and livestock that are available to you, et cetera, et cetera. It's the variables are, and the possibilities of how to do this are just infinite. That's why I love it. And sticking to my as natural as possible, that's my whole thing. Simple and natural as possible. That's why my tanks are pretty simple. They're bare. Except for my personal, I do, trust me, I love the aquascape and have plants and, cave. Trust me, that's what got me into this. I've had, I don't know how many tanks, but what I always do is start any tank with a few buckets of local pond, lake, river water, then throwing random leaves from the ground. Yeah, no, I get it. And that's what, I have that tub in there that I use, and it's kind of what I did with it. So when I started setting up the fish room, I had taken my aquariums that I had very quickly torn down. I basically emptied out all the water. I thought that they were only going to be in storage for a couple of weeks, so I left about this much water in the tanks, put them in the storage room. A year later, I pulled them out and I put them in this room. And they still had all the substrate. They still had the old driftwood, the rocks, everything. So this tub, what I did was everything that was substrate, active soil, I put all of that stuff into the tub first. And then everything that was sand and gravel, I put on top. And it probably about a 4 to 5 inch layer of substrate along the bottom of that tub. And then I filled it up with water. And that's how I started that tub. It was amazing, because a lot of the stuff that I started doing with the aquariums to conserve water was like when I set up the top row of aquariums, and then I'd set up the bottom row, I'd fill up the top ones and then empty out that dirty water into the bottom ones. And then I'd empty out that dirty water from the bottom ones into a bucket and, out into the backyard. Did it cost me a little bit? Yes. And now that I've gone back and revamped all of those aquariums, yeah, I see where I made my mistakes. But at the time, it's what was working for me, so I did it. And it was the lazy way. It was the wrong way. But I didn't make any videos about it saying, hey, do it this way, because I knew I was still teetering on whether I even wanted to set it all back up again or not. So, yeah, I just did it, whatever worked, and it worked eventually. And I learned my mistakes in the process. And I never ever do water changes to status quo. Yep. I scrub algae when I can, no longer see. Yep. But I don't speak fish, so. That's the main thing. As long as they look happy, you could tell, you you can tell when your fish or your shrimp are lethargic, they're not eating, they don't seem as colorful, so they don't look as happy. They droop. The fish will just, like when my guppies aren't happy, you can tell. They're kind of like, it's kind of like if they have clamp fin and they just sit there. When they're happy, they're swimming all around, they're poking at everything. Same thing with the shrimp. When I don't see my shrimp, especially for an extended period of time, when they're just like hiding and I don't see but maybe one, that's when I know, hey, what's going on in there? I know you're not napping, so something's going on. And usually just a little bit of a sprinkle in a little bit of water. I don't even know, a quarter of a gallon, even if that much. Good day, Mike. Coffee break. Hey, I got coffee. But again, see, I'm weird that way. And that's why I always say I don't consider myself an expert, because I just go with my gut. I go with what I see. I go from based on the experience. I've been keeping aquariums forever. And I know I can't write a book about it because it'd be like too much. It's just like if I gave you a recipe for something that I cook, you add a little bit of this, you put a little bit of that, smell it. No, it's missing some of this. And then you put that and then you cook it. And then it's done. Voila. Well, same thing. I've just I've been doing it. So this is what I do. I look. You can tell the water looks different. You can tell when the filters are clogged because they don't flow as much. You can see debris floating in the water more than the tank right next to it. Whatever the case may be. And then, like I said, I use mosses as my indicator as well. If my mosses are bushy and happy and growing, then the water's doing its job. If the mosses are getting stringy and growing funky and changing colors, then yeah, there's something going on, or it's just the moss is gone. People have been commenting on my videos that it seems like the fish are literally dancing along with my music. Yeah, that's good. I like it when I put music on and it's like it'll be timed just right to where, like, when the shrimp are sitting there doing this, it looks like they're with the music. It's pretty cool. Minosky, good morning. Shrimp grits, shrimp coffee. Oh, see, I have it was funny last Christmas, and I don't know how many of you are are friends with me on Facebook or not, but I was at my buddy's house Christmas Eve, and we were all hanging out doing our traditional, games, family night thing at on Christmas, and we were. I looked on the counter, and they had a tray of cocktail shrimp with cocktail sauce. So I took a picture of it and I posted, "I love shrimp." Got a lot of laughs out of it. It was funny. Well, this year it was there again. So I took another picture and I didn't post it, but it was like, you know, it's funny because I'm going to make that a tradition now. Every Christmas when I have the cocktail tray of shrimp, post it. I love shrimp. I know. I'm silly. I own it. Let's see. So yeah, hopefully I want to get more from everybody else. So I'm going to start getting involved again with the streams because I want to get on or have Grant on and talk about my setups, see what he thinks. I know he just set up a whole nother 3,000 tanks. He's got that whole new rack that he just set up. It looks badass. And that's exactly to my point. When I look at that, I go, man, I probably could have set up all of those aquariums with that one row of substrates worth, if that makes any sense. And here's the beauty of it. He's developed his system and the way he keeps his tanks, the amount of substrate he uses, the filtration flow rates, whatever. He's developed that over the course of his career, whatever you want to call it, his journey in shrimp keeping and breeding. And he's very comfortable with it, and it works great from him. So why would he deviate and do something different? I wouldn't. So that's my point. I've developed what I'm doing over the course of these years in my shrimp keeping journey, and this is what works for me. Why would I deviate? Doesn't mean he's wrong, I'm wrong, you're right, that guy over there is the bestest. The proof, again, I think it boils down to the proof's in the pudding. Whatever the setup is, whatever looks the best, whatever it makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside about what you have going on, the proof is in the pudding. It boils down to your livestock. Are they happy? Are they healthy? Are they breeding? Are they colorful and vibrant? It's not much different than people. You can see people and know just by looking at people, they're not vibrant, they're not healthy, they're slouched over, hair's all sticking up like mine. Whatever the case may be, but it's the same thing. Are y'all planning on doing a live stream every morning now? Y'all, there's I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I just started this Monday because I missed hanging out in the mornings. I didn't see anybody else really doing anything. Of course, I know Rob's doing his this morning. And sorry, Rob, don't mean to step all over you. But I mean, like 3 people? Come on. You ain't worried about little old me. You might steal that Christmas tradition. I couldn't help it. I'm over there eating the shrimp, going, I love shrimp. And, I've heard some people that are shrimp keepers that are like, oh no, I won't ever eat. And man, I've been eating shrimp and fish since I was a kid. I used to be a fisherman. I was telling you yesterday about being a pro-am fisher. I don't feel like I'm a cannibal. Now, for you dog and cat owners, that's a whole different story. I ain't going there. I ain't eating those. And I still want to make and I saw somebody made one. No, they're not for eating or something like that. Because when I tell people, they're like, "What do you do?" Oh, I breed shrimp. Oh, for selling, for eating? No. Why? For aquariums. Can you eat them? No. They're like this big. Plants are living creatures too. Yes, they are. And that's what, like I said, I remember in 2019, 5 years, almost six, no, it's 5 years ago because it was late 2019. Jason and I went to Austin, and on the way, we traveled at fish stores along the way, and then got to Austin and went to a couple of the Greater Austin Aquarium Society, Austin Greater Aquarium Society, whatever. And we went and saw some of the club members' homes and fish rooms and did videos. And then we went to an auction, and Jason asked me, he was like, well, what'd you bring? And I was like, plants. And I did. I brought a whole bag full of plants and more. I think I brought a couple of bags of shrimp, but only a couple. And he was like, why the plants and not a bunch of shrimp? And I was like, because I know the plants are going to sell. They're cheaper. They're going to survive. And I don't have to worry about it, at least for right now. That's what I do. I'm propagating plants because that was what I was doing. and that was going to be my focus. I liked Corey's concept of doing plants. That was, yeah, October 2019, November 2019, around then. But I've changed. Like I said, it's funny how it evolves. I mean, I changed my style of aquarium keeping when I was breeding the cottapunks. And then I changed my style of keeping when I was breeding the clown killifish. And I changed for the guppies that I had. So, you know, I've been watching you. Ain't that cool? I'm your buckaroo. I want to be like you, grow my own shrimp and be as the best like you. Ah, dude, grow my own shrimp. Yeah. It's a lofty goal, man. I'll tell you. But it feels really good that what I have is mine, all mine. You know, the original total shrimp between the Neos and the Caridina that I had in that fish room and the guppies too, total there was maybe 30 all together combined. 30 fish, 30 shrimp, 30 all together. Because I had like two guppies, I had a couple of clowns, I had a couple of blues, couple of oranges, some PRLs, PBLs, and now I've grown my own shrimp. Woohoo! Good morning, Cecil. Thanks for joining us. Look, we got 6 people. I'm surprised. That's not too bad. I know mostly if you are a shrimper, you're probably watching Flip Aquatics, and I don't blame you. Like I said, I used to be that guy, always chiming in. That's how I met Stephen Conroe before Aquashella, was through the morning chats on Flip Aquatics. That's how I found out Rob wanted a general manager back then, and that's why I applied, and that's why I went up there and worked with him for a little while at Flip. Of course, that was crazy times. That was right after the house fire, and shortly after getting to Ohio, realizing I was on the other side of the country away from my grandkids and everything, and that I had made the decision to move out to Ohio and leave everything behind while I was under duress after the house fire. I was still in shock living up there in Ohio. It was weird times. And then it was in the middle of COVID too. Good morning, Gary. You're not a shrimper? That's okay. If you have other fish, like if you have guppies or platies or cichlids won't, well, they'll always eat them, you know that. But that's the way I've always looked at it. I tell people that if you keep guppies, then you can throw some neos in there, they'll be fine. They may not, if they breed and babies get eaten, yeah, that may happen, but they'll do fine in just regular water. For you don't have to do anything special. And I really don't think you have to do all that much special for the Caridinas either. If you have a planted tank and you have it full of fluval stratum to help provide nutrients for your plant growth, it buffers the water enough for you to have some Caridina. It's just that simple. Asterisk, disclaimer, do at your own risk. Results may vary. Individual. If you experience death, please seek a physician immediately. I'm a Papa Shrimper. So I have a really cool thing that I've been working on, and hopefully when I start finding ways to generate revenue, like get a job again. Um, I'm going to put some money into getting some stuff and having a little bit of fun. So I'm looking forward to selling some shrimp and sending out packages with little goodies, with little goodie bags of Papa Shrimp stuff. I love shrimp. I used to do a lot of micro type tanks, but my eyesight is not as good now, so I switched to larger fish. I don't blame you. I was afraid to try Caridina, and I got fluval stratum, like you said. Not so scary now. Yeah, I mean, look, the honest truth is, when I first got into shrimp, I knew so little, and there was very little information out there, and not as many sources as there are, or resources as there are today on shrimp information. So I fell into the marketing genius of Fluval, and I saw that the shrimp was on the bag and that it said lowers pH. And, I didn't even really pay attention to the lowers pH, but I saw shrimp on the bag. So it's for your plants and shrimp. Okay. I fill my tanks up with Fluval stratum and I throw some Neocardinas in there. Yeah, Neocardinas. I didn't even start with Caridinas. It was all Neos. And I started throwing all my tanks together and putting fluval stratum. And then in some of the tanks, I'd use the Eco Complete, whatever, the other one, the substrate. I'd use that and throw some sand on top or throw some more fluval stratum on top of it because I didn't like the jaggedy rocks. So a lot of different things that I did, and I was totally oblivious to I'm doing it wrong. So then when somebody asked me at Aquashella, so you don't keep Caridinas? And I was like, no, I don't know how. And they're like, what do you mean you don't know how? Don't you have Neos? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, then you know how. And I was like, I'm so scared. All of this pH and buffer, and you got to do all this special stuff and minerals, and you got to have all of this special powder and blubbity, blubbity. It scared the crap out of me. And so I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? But I jumped into it and started doing it. And then had to tear down, then had to reset, and then had to tear down, and then had to reset, and then had to tear down, reset, tear down, reset over and over. And over the course of time, that's what, like I said, I've developed what I'm doing and how I'm doing it for what works best for me. Hopefully, it works for you too, but it may be a different variation of it because of what you're trying to accomplish. And that's the beauty of this hobby. Hey, kiddo. That's my son, Joey. Classes at 10 or at all today? What's today? Wednesday. Hello. Yeah, you got to understand me and my son's lingo. We have a, you know, we got you there, kiddo. It's his fault that I'm doing this. Yep, it's his fault. He started on me when he was young. You should do a YouTube channel, Dad. And I never would listen to the kid. Thought he was crazy. YouTube, YouTube. But thanks to Joey and his way of understanding how to kick his dad's in the rear without kicking him in the nuts at the same time. I don't know where he learned that from, but kid's kind of smart. Yep, I'm still upset that we didn't make a cooking channel. I know. Trust me, I should have listened to you. And I think of ways to do a cooking, but just like with this, and just like with everybody's doing cooking channels and their little things now, and like 6, 7 years ago, whenever it was when I started this channel, there wasn't a whole lot of people doing it. Now there's like a gajillion people doing it. So I'm kind of lost in the mix. And it was like Papa Shrimp, but that's the beauty of it. Fortunately, the name Papa Shrimp's been out there, and I've been involved in enough stuff that at least most everybody knows who I am. Well, they may not know who I am, but they've heard of Papa Shrimp. I see Joey doing his own channel one of these days, maybe. I kind of do. What do you think, kiddo? You're probably not going to have time. You're going to be so busy doing your JoJo thing. You should. Yep. Josh should too. My other son started a channel for a little while. He was going to do streaming stuff, but then he changed his mind. It is pretty saturated. I do a cooking series on my channel, but it's specific to my niche. I only cook fish, and it's only occasionally. It's not solely my thing. Yeah, because I also have my other channel, very, very, very small channel, um, for my music and my drums. And I haven't really done a whole lot other than post videos, and not really videos, but just my music with my band, whatever we recorded it, stuff we did in the 90s, stuff I've done live. Um, I haven't really done a whole lot of specifics on drums yet. I watch a lot of drumming videos because I watch, of course, everything that pops up is El Estepario. But my favorite right now of all the online drummers is Mauricio. He's pretty badass. Maybe it is a spooky thing. But yeah, so I have my other channel, and I've thought about doing a third one of cooking, or maybe like I like what my buddy at Texas Fish Rooms, his channel used to be Texas Fish Room, but now his channel is Jeff Does What. And that kind of leaves it open to he does what. And it could be about his music, it could be about his workout on his new exercise machine and weight systems. It could be about anything. It could be about his t-shirts and embroidery business that he does. So, yeah, I've kind of backed myself into a corner with the Papa Shrimp thing, but at the same time, I don't mind if I have another channel. My other channel is called How I Roll, but it's spelled RRLL. So look that up, How I Roll. Hey, I wonder if I could, I should be able to share it, right? Let's see here. That's what I'll do. I'm going to find my other channel. I'm going to put a video on, and that way you can listen to the video while I take a coffee break and get a refill and go to the restroom real quick. How about that? That's a good idea. Let's see, which video do we want to watch? Where is it? Yeah, we'll do this one. Let me share. What's up, new local Austin? All right, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go check it out, Fishy Things. I really am. I'm gonna put this on. Let me share screen. be right back.
My life, so sure, right. Stand alone, zero. Why you are just another sacrifice in this game called life. One night goes in the darkest light. It's your turn. Come alive. Take a life. It's out of sight. Now you're frozen soul is the blood. You got frozen soul.
That was fun. Later, Gary. Fishy things to do. Yeah, I get it. I have fishy things to do, shrimpy things to do. I have, if anybody's interested, um, I was going through stuff that I have, and it seems that I have only a few shirts. Thanks, Fishy Things. That was recorded in 97. I think it was 97-ish when we recorded that. It was we had to go through a battle of the bands thing. So it was like the best of Texas Billiards back in the day. A lot of good bands on there. It was pretty cool. Just during the days when Pantera was out touring the world, and then they'd come back and we'd all hang out and party. Um, I remember being up on stage and jamming, and Vinny walked by, went to the bathroom, and I was like trying to get to the beginning of the next song because it had a really badass drum intro. And of course, it timed perfectly. As soon as he started walking out, we started that song with the drum intro, and it stopped him in his tracks. He stopped there and stood at the side of the stage. I was playing, and I kind of looked up over, at him and saw him there, and he was just like, and I was like, yeah, kick ass. Cool. Later, JoJo. Have fun. Learn stuff. Learn how to become a millionaire. Later, vibes. Yeah. I mean, that was one of the cool things about being a metal band in that time period in the 90s here in DFW. Pantera was again touring the world. They were just going hostile on everybody. And most of the metal scene here was the heavier, of course, very influenced by rigor mortis, since rigor mortis came from here. Gamma side, all of that really heavy gore. Um, all guys from around here, whatever, Metalocalypse. But all that thrash. Even I got out of the army, and when I started playing with my guitar player, we played with the bass player from Gamma Side. He joined our band. And that was what my guitar player kept on saying, play those blast beats, man, paka, 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 paka. And I was like, no, I don't want to. I want to play more groove, power, heavy, but with melody. And, I was very Rush, Iron Maiden influenced. So I wanted to not be Slayer influenced. No, not Mecha Godzilla, Metalocalypse. You know that cartoon? The dude that does all the music for Metalocalypse. He's from here. He's had a lot of local people do tracks with him and stuff. It's just like when I got to play one of the videos on my channel that I just recently did was a night that I got to share the stage with King Diamond's drummer, Matt Thompson. That was pretty wicked because I've been, a fan of King Diamond since Army days. Good morning, Daniel. But yeah, derailed a little bit. Not really. There are no rails here. Gary sent me a comment the other day about sorry if I derailed the stream, and I'm like, dude, don't. That's kind of why. Like I said, I'm not trying to keep it on aquariums. If you don't want to, we can talk about something else. But I was trying to explain to everybody I do have some t-shirts. I was going through and checking them out. Let's see here. So yeah, I have some medium, I have some large, a couple of large, and then a few extra large left. So hopefully, let me know. Hit me up. I'll send you a shirt, $20, shipping included. Just tell me the size. When I was young and energetic, I loved drumming, speed metal style. Now, whenever I sit down on a set, I seem to gravitate towards funk beats. Dude, I'm telling you. So my drumming style when I was younger. I mean, I've been playing drums forever, but when I was younger and I first joined Excess Red in the 90s, 91 ish, um, that was what I was about, a million notes. Because I came from marching percussion and playing quads and snare drum and all that. So going across my toms was just like it was normal. I was used to a million notes for every song because that's how you played in marching band. And then I kind of evolved a little bit to be more rhythmic, but I tried to keep it musical, if that made any sense. And for metal drummers, that wasn't something that was commonplace. I know when I was in the studio, I had the guy that he was a drummer, and he was like, "Dude, you need to, get rid of the jazzy stuff that you're doing." And I'm like, "No." And he was like, "Yeah, but you're playing metal." And I was like, "I know, but I want that's my signature is that I'm playing metal, but I'm throwing in all the jazzy stuff." And then we did X's Red stuff, and then I got into a different band later, and I had picked up the sticks after about 3 4 year hiatus, and I had to change my style to more simpler, still heavy metal, but a more straightforward boom tap style. And so that's my motto nowadays is that it doesn't matter. I can do the fast stuff, but I'll boom tap the crap out of any drummer, you know. Let's sit down and just play a simple boom tap beat together, and I bet you mine sounds better, even if we're playing the same damn thing, because it's all about the feel. And again, just like with my aquariums, it's something I've developed over the years that when I play, and I tried to play the other day, and I made it quite a while, but then my back went out, and then I found myself going, I can't play this. I can't play like I was when I'm 20. Just can't. Yes, it is an art. Yeah, when we did those things when we were young, these kids today, they're missing out on some of the fun stuff that we used to be able to do through live music and events and local concerts. And man, those times were fun. And we looked back at Woodstock and we were like, man, that's some crazy stuff there. But they look back at us and go, man, and I don't see that it's not the same way that they consume live music. It's not as important, it doesn't seem these days, as it was back in the day. Yes, it's very underappreciated. I mean, it's a lot easier to find a karaoke bar than it is to find a live music bar. And on top of that, when you do find a live music bar, 95% of the live music is tribute bands. And I'm sorry, but if I wanted to hear songs that I could hear on the radio, I'd just turn on the damn radio. But I get it. A lot of my musician buddies that are quote unquote successful with making money in music is because they're in tribute bands and they're getting paid. And you don't get paid for original music. Trust me. Been there, done that. That's why I just write music on my computer, and add it to my videos. I don't have to worry about any copyright strikes or anything like that because it's my music. And I remember the first time I did a video with one of my songs that I had published, and it was on iHeartRadio and all that fun stuff. But I got a copyright strike against me for using my music. So I disputed it, of course, and I won because I'm like, hey, that's me. I'm that guy. I am Liquid Swiss Productions. I am Jerry Flores. I am the writer and composer and the artist on that song. hate to admit it, but even with all my own songs, it's just so much easier to do a couple of clicks with the computer to get a beat and a bass line. I know, I know. Trust me, I was so hardcore against any of the electronics back in the day. No, no, 100% acoustic. Otherwise you're a talentless bitch. But that was kind of my attitude, because it just drives me crazy that the level of consumption of these recording artists. They get so much more playtime and appreciation for being a recording artist, not a musician, not an actual player of any musician or instrument. You know, they end up being recording artists, and that just drives me insane. Um, that really, so yeah, a lot of times it is easier. A lot of times I have so many ideas that I write on the guitar. That song that you were listening to, by the way, I wrote it. I wrote the intro, I wrote the middle part. I didn't write any of the lyrics, but I basically wrote and composed that song. I wrote the middle part. That's an old drumming exercise I used to teach my students, and I'd use the I want to live in America, so they'd understand how to do flam taps and Swiss triplets together. And that was the right rhythm. Anyways, I digress. But I wrote that song. So I have tons of ideas I bring to my band, and they're like, whatever. It's a drummer song. So then I come home and I transpose it from my guitar to the computer, and then I add some drums, and next thing you know, I have a song. And then I'll put it out, and then they'll go, "Hey, that song was pretty cool. I know I showed it to you. You just kind of blew it off, drummer song, but you didn't hear what I had in my head." So yeah, sometimes it's easier just to sit on my computer. I have my interface because I want to do more recording of me playing the guitar live, and then I have my electronic drum set too, and I want to be able to record drum lines to my guitar playing, and just have fun doing that stuff. That's cool. That's what I've used lately. I've used some of the royalty free stuff that YouTube has because it's the right length or whatever. Most of my songs are only like 3.5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. Most of them run about 2.5 minutes, something around there. So for a lot of my videos, in order to use my songs, then I got to either loop it or I got to use two or three or four of them. And so for a little while there, that's all I did was use my music. And I started going back and watching some of my videos, and I was like, man, I need to change it up and brighten it up and do something different. And so that's why lately I've just been doing without music. As much as I want to, I'm trying to keep it simple. Why not teach drums? I could, and I should, honestly. It's a lot different out here where I live. We're a little bit more rural than being in the middle of DFW, where I could find students left and right. So I'm trying to decide on how I want to approach that. But yeah, and that's something that I kind of want to do on my channel too, on my other channel, is teach drums, because I can definitely speak the lingo when it comes to that. You know, I'm much more versed in drums than I am in aquarium keeping. So that's kind of been I'm trying to understand, where did it go that I spent most of my focus on the shrimp and the aquariums and stuff, and kind of lost my focus on the music. And maybe that's what's wrong with me. Maybe that's why I'm cuckoo in the head, because there's not enough music in my life to keep me well, not normal. I'll never be normal. But you know what I'm saying. People's attention downs these days ain't gonna listen to Freebird. Oh, trust me. And my guitar player, he's my best friend. We've been buddies for 30 plus years, man. Just that's been his kick lately. There's a, oh man, I never really appreciated Skinner, man. Check out this, and you know what kind of guitars they're playing. So I got to listen to Skinner again and listen to these songs that we've been listening to for 80 years. It's like, no, man. And even with our music, our own music, sometimes I'm like, no, let's write something completely new and different. I'm tired of playing that same song for 30 years. And some of them are really badass songs. And it's not that I don't want to play them, I do. It's just I want to play new stuff too. It's what do you do, man? Normal equals boring. I agree. I yeah, that's one of the things I've always told my boys. You know, Joey, it was a big learner of that mentality. And I remember when he was young and he was like, "You're right, Dad. It's just so much better being weird and owning it." And I'm like, "Yeah, embrace the weirdness, embrace the inner geek and the nerd that we are. I don't care about this front, this facade that we have to put up. It just, no, maybe that's because I'm getting old. Yeah, that's what happens when you get older. You stop really worrying about the stupid. I've experienced enough stupid, or it doesn't bother me anymore, unfortunately. And it's not that it doesn't bother me. Maybe it's just I don't have time. Ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yes, and see, that's the same thing about like with aquariums and with music. I want to share. I want to share what I learned or just my perspective. Doesn't mean you have to follow it, doesn't mean you have to believe in it, but just understand why I see things this way or have learned to do things this way, and share what I learned, you know. Again, watching drumming videos that I watch these days, or even shrimp video, any of the stuff that I watch, I take it, you can't consume it all. So you got to take it in little sample bites. And some of it is relevant, some of it isn't. Doesn't mean that it's not useful information. It's just not all of it's useful to me. And that's the beauty of it, deciphering that. And so, like I said, when I watch my videos, I see people poke fun of Lars Ulrich in the heavy metal drumming community, and it makes me laugh because I'm like, everybody's just jealous. Yeah, he may not be, Neil Peart. He may not be Mike Portnoy, you know, but look at where he's at and look at what he's done. And he's the perfect drummer for Metallica. And same thing with aquariums. Some of us, I say us because I always feel like, I'm one of the wee people in the community. And I do things, like I said, my own way. And I'm not trying to buck the system. I'm just trying to make it affordable. I don't want to be the guy that says you have to do it this way in order to be successful. I want to be the guy that goes, look, you can be a little crazy like me and still be successful. Just depends. And it doesn't have to be done this way. Look, he's successful. She's successful. They're successful. And if you combine all of it, find what works best for you, you can be successful too. I want to produce music. That was always my thing. But that's why I write my stuff. Teaching is I'm hoping to maybe do some teaching in my channel. I see so much things that are wrong about what's being taught now. And maybe that's that's interesting because I was watching a video today from Shrimp Sanctuary, Benny Tay, And he was talking about misinformation and scams in the shrimp hobby and how much it discredits people for this and that. And it made, I kind of didn't listen to it as much, but when I look at from a drummer's perspective and on the drum video, there's a lot of drummers out there that are just misinforming people, teaching them wrong. I understand it, ways to be fast, but I watch all of these super fast drummers and it's just noise. It's noise. It's just noise. And then they're teaching people how to do it. Hold the sticks like this, all backwards and upside down, and bang it against the rim so that you get 3 strokes out of it, and then you can do like me and do it all wrong. So I wonder if it's like that to some people in the shrimp or fish aquarium community, where they look at that dude's crazy. He's doing it all wrong. Interesting, because I never really thought about it. I sit there with drum and I go, they're doing it all wrong. So do people do that with aquariums? Huh, interesting. It's the whole no water changes debacle. You think so? Yeah, I could see that. And where I'm at with it, I don't agree. And I've tried no water changes. And it doesn't always work. Now, my tub out there with 6 inches, 6 inches of substrate, 100 gallons of water, full of plants, I've never changed the water in it. It's doing okay. I have another aquarium that I've never changed the water in it. It's doing okay. But I know the ones that I haven't done water changes on are the ones that are the least productive, or it seems like the plants, everything just struggling just a little bit. So I do think fresh water is part of what helps aquariums thrive. Whether how much of the water you're removing, that's a totally different subject. But adding fresh water like top offs, to me, that's you're refreshing the water. Pull a little bit of water out, put a little bit clean water in. It's just like giving them a bath. So much better. Yeah, it could be for beginners, especially. But that's the whole thing is I think they get taught wrong at the store, at time of purchase. They start off on the wrong foot. And I think that's where we lose so many people in the hobby is at the store. When they get their first aquarium, they get their purple gravel and their pink fluorescent light bulbs and the plastic plants, and they get their chlorine remover and bacteria additive and fresh fish food and whatever, snail remover, algae control, and they get all of this and then a master test kit, and they start the hobby off and then it doesn't work, and then they get disappointed. They keep killing fish. They can't keep plants alive because they're buying plants that were grown immersed, and then they give up and we lose people. It's that's where I think it all starts, at the beginning. All day I got comments if someone was trying to do something, I wouldn't listen to me. For top breeders like TGOE or TB Shrimp, it's a must for numbers and growth. Yeah. I mean, and that's the way that I'm doing my tanks right now is what's giving me the ability to not have to go through extreme environment changing, parameter changing water changes. because of the way that my tanks are set up, being able to top them off and do a minimal, maybe a 5% water change. Like I said, get out some of the gunk in the water column, get it out. It's very easy when I don't have a thick layer of substrate, because I don't have to stick a tube down there, disturb the substrate, and possibly have ammonia spikes. I have glass bottom. So anything I remove from the bottom of the glass, it's all detritus. It comes up, gets out of there. I add a little bit of fresh water, and it just seems to keep everything happy. But shrimp are breeding like crazy. So there's got to be something to it, right? Now, again, if I had 500 aquariums, I wouldn't be able to do the water changes I do now, especially by myself. So that's why I created something that works for me, to where I can get by doing what's necessary to keep the tank healthy, keep the shrimp happy, and keep them breeding, and keep it as stable as possible by reducing as many variables as possible. And it works for me. For me. Disclaimer, don't do what I do without adult supervision. Lars is a nice guy. They played at Lemoore several times when they were started. Yep. See, and that's the other thing. What else do you have in your aquarium? Because there's my 20-gallon long tank that I have, two of the box filters. And I use two box filters in a 10-gallon, but I'm using two box filters in this 20-gallon long. And it's got a big old giant, what do they call that aquatic fern? I know, bobitus. So I have a big old bobitus plant in there, and a big old bush of moss. And the water is kind of greenish, cloudy-ish most of the time. So on that aquarium, when it comes time, once a week, I try to take out about 25% of the water and do a complete water change in that aquarium. I don't do as much on my 10 gallons because they may not have as many shrimp. And that's the key. For the amount of shrimp that I have in that aquarium, and because I do have a deep layer substrate, I'm removing the water and putting fresh water in more frequently. It just, that's what I'm comfortable with for that aquarium. Now, my other aquariums, it may have 25 shrimp in there. So I may do that one less, more of a 5%, 10%. The main thing I try to do is just not mess with the tank so much that I'm creating problems. You know what I mean? I think tanks are a lot more stable than we think, and I don't think water changes absolutely affect it as much as we think, depending on what we're doing. There's always disclaimers. Everybody does things differently. So whatever works for you, that's the main key. And that's what's beautiful. Nobody's wrong about doing it. If it's working, your fish are breeding, your plants are growing, and you're having fun, then you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. Right? Yeah, I mean, that, Daniel, growing up here, that was what was cool, because like I said, we were hanging out at the bars, we'd go to parties, whatever. Pantera would be there. I remember at one after show, we were at a club, we were playing for uh, around Arlington heavy metal bands showcase, and I think I know Dimebag was there, Jerry Cantrell. I'm not sure if Rob Zombie was there or not, but we ended up getting shut down by the cops they shut the bar down. There was too many people crammed in that little bitty bar that we were playing at. It's like capacity of like 80 people, and we had like 300. So they kicked us out, and we went to the magazine writer's house and had the party there. And meeting those people, hanging out with some of those people, that's what made my YouTube transition so much easier, because coming from that type of entertainment industry, the musicians and being around them and everything, when I go and I see these YouTubers and I first met them, I didn't have fanboy, thoughts about meeting people, because I know that they're just normal people like me, just like all of the musicians that I met. It didn't matter where their status was, they're all just normal people. Some of them are not so nice, just like in real life. Woohoo! 10 people. I think that was up to 12, maybe. Maybe we'll get a couple more now that Rob's done. Right? Hopefully. I don't know. I don't I don't gather I took too many people away from Rob. Yeah, and I've talked to Grant a lot about the way he does his stuff, and I mean, I've known Grant for a long time now, and I don't have any issues with anything anybody does, really, because I always look at it and go, it's working for me. I'd hate for somebody to look at what I do and like talk bad about it, especially if it's working. And that's kind of, you know, whether it's Grant, whether it's TB Shrimp, whether it's me, whether it's Flip Aquatics, or whether it's anybody that's out there, if all you got to do is just look at the shrimp. That's why I'm very proud to show my shrimp and show them off and show them in the aquariums, so that you could see I'm not, there's full 100% transparency. I'm not trying to do anything other than just share the success. And I'd really like to share my shrimp. I really would. So if anybody's interested, let me know. Hit me up. Email me, papashrimpaquatics at gmail. You know, hit me up and let me know. I'd love to help you out. Put some shrimp in your tanks. I got plenty of mosses too. Um, but yeah, it's, I don't know. I have too much fun doing this. And that's why I took a long break from streaming and making videos, because I wanted to get back to doing it for me, not doing it to make videos or to make content or to, promote the business or any of that. And I made a comment the other day about businesses pushing videos or information just to sell their product. And so I got to clarify on that a little bit. I'm not against people making money, not against people. I mean, heck, I'm trying to make money doing this, at least to fund my shrimp room and everything. But where I don't, where I think people get misled sometimes is where use this filtration, I make it. Use this substrate. It's the only way you're going to be successful, and I make it. Do that, and it's the only way. No, uh, I think that's a little bit wrong. That's kind of like the pet stores telling them, buy this, put these chemicals, do this, and then you're going to be successful. And then when they're not, they come back and they buy more, and that's how the store keeps them. You know, you give them the razor for free, but you charge them for the razor blades. you know, and that's where I think it's that's where I think it's kind of wrong. Is scaring people into thinking I can't do that. Well, I'm trying to convince people you can. And buy your shrimp from everybody, not just from me. Find your favorite. Find who's closest to you. Find whose quality you like the best, or whose color you like the best. Um, I just, in order for me to feel like I'm being successful in this industry, hobby, whatever you want to call it, in this niche, then I'm going to promote everybody else's success because I want them to be successful, if that makes sense. Then it makes the hobby successful. Then that makes everybody else, the hobbyists, more successful and having faith in that they can even try it and do it. You know, I don't know. I'm weird that way. Hmm. I think I'm getting mushy in my old age. That's what it is. I'm turning into a softie. So let's do something. I got enough battery. I can unhook this. Let's do a little quick walkthrough. I'm gonna take you on a journey. Dun dun dun. It's dark. Dun dun dun. My fish room. I'll get this chair. Dun dun dun. Oh, my knees are cracking. All right. So, which one? Let's see. That's pretty cool looking, huh? Yes, I need more time behind the drum kit. I do. Looks like she's buried right here. That's cool. There's so many little babies down here. Here, let's see. Trying to see if I can get her in focus. She doesn't want to focus. Not bad. What do you think? That's pretty. I know it's kind of plain as far as isn't. I just threw a couple of leaves, a stick, and got some wasser tang in there, but I only have like 6 shrimp in there right now. Trying to see if I can get a good view up here on these tanks. It's better if I hold it. This is my clown killifish tank. One of them. Trying to see if I can get a good shot in here. See if it'll focus right. Focus, focus. Over here, I got some blue neos. They're breeding like crazy, but they're hard to see because they're hiding in that moss. Oh man, I'm old. Let's see what else we can find. These guys. Those guys are pretty. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. So was that fun or was that fun? All right. Well, it's a pretty good day. Had some fun. I enjoyed hanging out with everybody. Hopefully, the next couple of days, I can figure some stuff out. So that way I can maybe get somebody to join me. And yeah, hopefully I can give you an update. I'll try to get in touch with Jess and just see how she's doing and see. Make sure everybody tells her hello, that she knows she's missed. So thanks for hanging out. We'll see you again next time. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Peace.